Thanks for listening to the Good Enough Wellness Podcast. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Emily.
And we're passionate about holistic wellness that real people with real lives can achieve.
We see you out there striving for perfection, but we want you to know that good enough can be good enough.
Before we get started, everything we talk about in this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Always talk to your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, lifestyle, medication, or supplements.
Welcome to Body Literacy 101. School is now in session. Your instructor today is Nutritional Therapy Practitioner Kayla King. This is the 7th of 8 sessions, which will explore the basic functions of the body and get you more comfortable in your own skin. And now, Session 7, the immune system.
There's no way for me to fully deep dive into all things immune system. There are about 15 to 20 different types of cells involved in a full-blown immune response, so as you can imagine, this is going to be a pretty high-level look at the immune system.
Yeah, as most things we've covered, like the body's complicated.
Yes. I can give you a brief overview, but it's especially the immune system. It's impossible to give you the full deep dive in 20 minutes or less. But don't worry, I'm sure there will be lots more immune-related episodes to come, and I would love to one day do a deep dive into the various ways the immune system is protecting us.
For sure. I feel like when you're thinking about wellness or you're like, I should get into wellness, you're usually thinking about the immune system, really. You're thinking about you don't want to have so many colds in the winter and you don't want to get the flu when your kids go back to school. And I feel like the immune system is really front and center of what you're thinking about when you want to be well.
Yeah. How can we support the immune system to get better from things, especially with the recent pandemics and things like that?
Oh, don't say that word. We're going to get censored.
Ooh, Demi. I don't know. So the immune system's job is to constantly be determining between self and non-self. It does this by asking, are you safe and are you me? It is true that the majority of our immune system lives in our gut, so revisiting the digestion episode would be helpful. A healthy gut does equal a healthy immune system.
Right, and really all these episodes go together. What we learned in the first episode, Body Organization, that you can't isolate body systems. They're all designed to work together, and there's a lot of crossover.
Yes, you can never hack one without hacking the others, sometimes to their detriment.
Right, yes.
So there are 3 lines of defense. Physical barriers, which are your skin, mucus, etc. I think that's what most people think about when they think about fending off of germs and things like that. The innate system, it attacks obvious intruders, so it's programmed to just attack the things that it knows are unsafe. And then we have an adaptive line of defense, and this one has to identify, learn, and evolve its attack. It's very, very intelligent. Some immune cells are born in bone marrow, but some continue to mature in the bone marrow while some mature in the thymus. They undergo, quote-unquote, training to learn to identify the proper cells to attack, and this teaches them not to attack your own body. And there is talk that autoimmunity may stem from an issue of immune cells receiving improper training in the thymus.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. There are multiple immune cells playing multiple roles. Some are able to take pictures of potential intruders and send them to more advanced cells to be properly vetted or prepare them to attack when they do encounter them.
Yeah, when people say our bodies are more complex than most advanced supercomputers, they weren't kidding.
Not at all. Others have memory, which is super important to help us fight off recurring infections or diseases, and the immune response gets mounted faster to prevent a full takeover. But this has implications for food sensitivities. If we develop leaky gut from undigested food or inflammation, those food particles can leak out, get identified as intruders, and now memory immune cells are going to attack every time you consume that food, developing a food sensitivity. Lymph also plays a significant role in the immune system as well, since this is where many immune cells travel.
I love that lymph is getting its day in the sun here. Like, if you spend any type of amount of time on social media, you will see there are entire influencers that are talking about lymph and how to move lymph, drain lymph, love your lymph, all the things. And I love that. It's time.
Yes. Yeah, lymph definitely needs more emphasis in the wellness sphere. We'll talk a little bit more about lymph in the detoxification episode, but just know that lymph is super, super important, and I'd love to talk more about that in another episode. Inflammation increases our chances for an immune response. And the way it does this is by increasing tissue permeability and dilating blood and lymphatic vessels. This gives toxins an opportunity to find their way in. And ideally, all toxins would pass through a healthy digestive system and get removed via feces.
Right.
And again, we'll talk more about toxins in the detoxification episode. So, some good enough ways to support the immune system, starting with nutrition, is giving your body the building blocks it needs to have impermeable cells to an extent. You don't want them completely impermeable, but making sure that they have a nice, partly rigid structure using the proper ratios of fatty acids. So saturated fats make your cells more rigid, where unsaturated fats make them more fluid, and you do need both, but making sure you're getting enough saturated fats, that way the cell is able to withstand an attack and toxins aren't able to get in.
Yeah, I love that we're talking about that, because I feel like, especially in the spheres that we're in, we talk a lot about like this fat good, this fat bad, but we don't really get into the nitty gritty of why. So being able to articulate that, like, why or how that particular type of fat affects your cells, I think is so important to understanding why you're doing anything, really.
Yeah, it's not so much, and I think it's so short-sighted to talk about, this fat makes you fat, this fat causes heart disease, this fat XYZ, but in reality, understanding the role that each kind of fat plays in your actual structure, your cellular integrity, can be really helpful in making a decision. Do I need more of this fat in my diet? Do I have plenty of this fat in my diet? Another way to support the immune system through nutrition is getting enough gut-friendly foods, so things like collagen and gelatin. Bone broth is a really good vehicle for these. It helps to heal and seal the gut lining, which keeps those food particles from leaking through and creating an immune response and causing a food sensitivity.
Yeah, I know I've always heard like anything that's like slimy is great for your intestines. So I know a lot of people like okra, that sort of thing. They're very like gut healing and sealing.
Yeah, aloe, marshmallow root, a lot of those things. Very helpful for healing the gut. And using fermented foods to feed the gut microbiome, and like we said, the majority of the immune system lives in the gut microbiome, so supporting that and making sure that bacteria isn't overgrowing or that it has enough food to maintain a proper level. We do need some levels of gut bacteria, we just don't want them to overgrow.
Right, it's all about balance in the gut.
Yeah, so making sure that they're getting the food that they need, so prebiotic fiber in general. We talked about that, I think, in the digestion episode as well.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah, when we were talking about the large intestine. So those are some like nutrition things specifically for like the gut and preventing food from becoming an immune response. But we can also talk about, I think, just different nutrients that we can consume to support the immune system.
Sure, yeah.
We hear a lot about vitamin C and zinc. Both are really important for the immune system, for sure. There are some things to know about vitamin C and zinc both. If you get like a vitamin C supplement, a lot of times what you're going to see is that it's ascorbic acid, and ascorbic acid is a part of the vitamin C molecule.
Okay.
So if you consume ascorbic acid, your body has to add the rest of the...
It has to provide the rest.
Right.
To complete
so,
it.
In a way, it can deplete your body of vitamin C because it's dragging all of the counterparts out of your body in order to make a full molecule.
The way I want to groan into the microphone right now.
So when it comes to vitamin C, it really is best to have a whole food source. The good news is this is pretty easy to do with citrus fruits and strawberries, and there's even
bell peppers. Bell peppers
bell
have a lot of
peppers are
vitamin
really
C.
high in vitamin C, but it's even really inexpensive to get vitamin C, whole food vitamin C powders.
Yeah,
Like acerola cherry or camu camu, or even just you'll find like orange powder that you can use, and it's pretty cost effective, and it'll be way more effective at fending off any kind of germs. And then with zinc, it's super important to understand how minerals interact. Zinc is a mineral, and minerals are constantly interacting with each other. Some are antagonistic, some are more helpful to each other, and zinc is no different. So megadosing with zinc, like we tend to do with an immune response, can create imbalances elsewhere in your minerals,
right,
which then can cause more issues.
yes.
So when it comes to zinc, I do recommend having a whole food source of zinc. This can be a little bit more difficult to do because a lot of them are meat.
Or like seafood.
Yeah.
Oysters, I know, are usually a real
yes.
big one.
Yep. So oysters are a huge one, but also any kind of meat has some zinc. I think liver has zinc. And then there are some food sources. I think pumpkin seeds are one, and there might be a couple others. But just keep in mind that minerals interact with each other a lot. So it's wise not to dose with one singular mineral.
Right, yes. Versus when you're getting them from the whole food source, a lot of times they're packaged, quote, for us with already their counterparts and helpers right there next to them.
Yeah, copper is a big one when it comes to zinc, and oysters are both high in zinc and copper, and in the right ratios that they would need to interact correctly with each other.
Crazy. That feels planned.
Almost like intelligent design.
Oh, man.
So some other things that I'm sure you have seen on social media or whatever, elderberry can be really useful.
Honey.
Yeah, raw honey can be super helpful.
Local to you is always going to be better than getting online and finding organic, gluten-free, free-range.
Yeah,
something.
Of the things.
Yeah, so find local because those are going to have all the local flora and fauna in it.
Yep. Another thing you can do is sleep. We completely underrate sleep in every area of our lives, but sleeping is when our immune system is most active.
So if you get some sleep and you feel better, it's probably because your immune system kicked in and it's doing a good job at what it's doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Getting sunshine. It's, we were just talking off air a little bit how a lot of the things I know about immune system, it's very anecdotal, but if it works for you, then, it's awesome when you have all of this science to back up what you're doing, and it can help us make really informed decisions. But there's also, like, sometimes you just have to make the most informed decision. And even if it's anecdotal, and say, this has been working for us, so we're going to keep doing it. And especially when it's something pretty harmless, like when my kids get sick, they strip down and they go lay on the trampoline because it absorbs the sun and it's warm, and they get sunshine on their skin. Do I have all of the stats and numbers to back that up? No. But does it always make them feel better? Yeah, it does.
And there might be stats and numbers, and I'll probably do a little research after this and link something in the show notes.
Yeah.
All of what we know was anecdotal at one point until we did studies to prove it or disprove it.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, you can poo-poo anecdotal evidence all you want, but everything is anecdotal until it gets a study. So
that's true. And in order for it to get a study, there has to be somebody wanting the information. So there's usually money involved, and that can taint a study. So
Absolutely.
Do with that what you will.
Yeah.
So really, a way to wrap up this sky-high view of the immune system is get lots of sleep, eat the food you need to have building blocks to keep your body in tip-top shape and moving and growing and thriving. And what do you think? Stress will kill you, kids.
Yeah. Get lots of sleep and take your vitamins. As in...
in whole food sources and not isolated.
Not the supplement on the Walmart shelf.
Thank you for listening to the Good Enough Wellness Podcast.
To learn more about my one-on-one packages, join my mailing list and follow me on Instagram at Kayla King Wellness.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Good Enough Wellness Podcast feed wherever you listen to podcasts. You don't want to miss an episode.
Join our community over on Instagram at Good Enough Wellness Podcast to learn about upcoming episodes and to interact with the Good Enough community.
The Good Enough Wellness Podcast, because good enough can be good enough.
Well, that's good enough for me.
Me too.